All right, welcome back to Grimerica Outlawed. We have Dr. Jeff Gross with us. He's the founder of Celebrate, the stem cell whisperer, stem cell activation, regenerative medicine. He's a pioneer in this field, and we're looking forward to chatting with you about all this. The stem cell whisperer. I wasn't sure if you'd have that in your title or not, or if it was
It's kind of
a real
stuck.
nickname. Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be here.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. We love chatting with you health and wellness innovators in the United States, and of course in Canada too, but it's just a little bit of a different environment up here with that kind of stuff.
I
Um,
understand that.
yeah,
Yeah, I have some patients, clients from Canada, and they tell me about it. So we're
yeah.
happy to help Canadians and Americans alike.
And you're in Vegas, right? So
We're in London. Yeah.
you have lots of Canadians coming. So what kind of stuff would the Canadians come down for?
Well, they come down first of all maybe to warm up a little bit for part of the year. Secondly, for hockey games because we have a pretty darn good hockey team down here. So we've had some real good competition from the Canadian teams, and that's always fun to see. But for things I have, they're looking for alternatives, looking for access to things that they may not be able to get their hands on at home in Canada. And these might be stem cell or regenerative biologics. They might be peptides. They might be, cutting edge approaches to longevity and cancer and other things.
And Vegas is an easy one to get to, I think, right? Because it seems like Vegas is always one of the cheapest airports to fly to, at least from where I am. Like it's like almost every other airport in America is more expensive than Las Vegas. It's like flying to the Azores. It seems like there's some sort of subsidization there, right? I don't know if the state is subsidizing flights or the airlines to a certain extent so they can attract people, but I know the Azores does that. The government of Portugal pays, I don't know what they're paying or if they're just not taxing them or what they're doing, but it makes it like a lot more affordable to fly to than someplace comparable.
I wouldn't be surprised. The casino industry wants to bring people to Las Vegas, right? Even though you don't have to come to Las Vegas to gamble anymore, you can gamble from your cell phone. But I'm sure there's some type of joint venture to keep those flights or gate fees or however they do it or taxes, manageable.
You're muted, Graham.
Sorry about that. There's no trend on Canadian. Like I was wondering if there was a trend on stuff that Canadians kind of need from you. It's just the full gamut. Like they could be coming down for whatever you provide, kind of.
Well, so my observation is, and this isn't
scientific
published fact, but is that there's a real difficulty in having access to like just getting a diagnosis, getting imaging like MRIs and things, or they get in line for a knee replacement and we'll see in a year and a half type of thing. So I think it's more of just getting treated without delay, getting figured out and treated.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, and then I guess what you're saying also is that some of your therapies might stop somebody from having to get a knee replacement, like instead of
that's
going
the goal.
To that level of surgery, the goal is to maybe regenerate some cells.
So that's not only the goal, that is the observation, and that is there's medical evidence behind that. What we do is based on some really good research out of Europe that has 15-year follow-up data. So we're not doing anything new. It's just newish to North America because we're so suppressed, at least here in the States, we're so suppressed because the influences from big pharma and big implant industries who make, artificial knees and spinal rods and screws and things.
Wow, really? I never even thought that would be a thing.
Oh yeah.
I guess it's just this industry gets in everywhere.
How do you deal with
drives?
How do you deal with someone coming down from Canada that doesn't have, say, their stem cells? Are you guys able to? We were talking to someone that was doing, it seemed like a version of prolotherapy where they were able to make some stem cells. Are you guys involved in that, or because they have to be your stem cells, don't they, or do they not have to be?
No, they don't have to be. There's quite a bit of using your own stem cells, but guys, I'm 60. I don't want my I don't want to put the old oil back in the car when I change the oil. I want some of that young, fresh stuff. So we get donated biologics from mothers who have C-section births, and congratulations, here's your baby. But hey, we're going to throw away this umbilical cord, the placenta, and the amniotic fluid. You're not using it anymore. Can we have it? That's kind of how it goes now.
Interesting. I wonder if there's some sort of, like, if this got popular, I wonder if there'd be some sort of a licensing model there where you could give them your stem cells and you get a little bit from all the people that get some stem cells. Because like, how far does one umbilical cord go? Like from one birth, was that one person? Is that one treatment?
No, I mean, it depends on how you use those things. And we could really get granular about the different types of biologics and how much you get out of them and what you can do with them. But the donation of tissue in the United States is a non-paid event. It has to be a true donation. So they can license it, but they're not going to get anything for it. So it wouldn't work. The American Tissue Banks, or whatever the organization is, and I'm sure Canadian organ donation is similar.
Well, we got an extra add-on here with our organ donation because the state will actually kill you and harvest your organs and people. So
be careful.
Yeah,
be careful, or you're next on that list. You just got moved up.
I mean, they seem to be. We just had an interesting thing in Canada where they got the first mental illness person. There's a huge uproar in BC because it's not supposed to be legal yet, and they did it against the family's wishes. And I think we finally just got like a mention from your guys's State Department where it's like, what are you guys doing up there? Which happened? Is interesting, right? Because you've got a bunch of other countries that have had this assisted suicide, right? It's not new. It's been around for a while. But all of a sudden when Canada starts doing it, just like quickly turns into our 5th and 4th leading cause of death in the country. And, they just expand it to all these different things. And you get reports of people going in and they're getting told we can't treat you, but here's what we can do. And we're not talking about stuff that is untreatable. We're talking about stuff that people there was a girl in Saskatchewan that was able to go to the States. Glenn Beck flew her down. Yeah. Because the treatment exists. Canada just won't do it. They'll kill her, but they won't fly her down for this treatment.
It's a lot cheaper to end the customer relationship.
Yeah, it seems like it. This is a problem with the government being the one paying the bill. And now we've got the new one where there was a lady that was sick here. We won't say why she was sick because we'll get kicked off of YouTube. But she was offered MAID, and now Japan's like, well, wait a second. If you come here, we can treat this. So now she's trying to do a GoFundMe to send her to, because the government will pay to MAID her, but they won't pay for a flight to Japan.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they pay for one, then they got to pay for everybody, and then you quickly have an economic crisis. And we have that here in the States, right? That even though there's a private health insurance industry, it really is a privatized corner of a government regulated driven system. It's very scripted and problematic. And the only way we can offer these alternative treatments is to be outside that system.
So out of pocket, probably not. Are you?
Yeah, but they've come way down in cost. In the biologics are very competitive now. There are tons of suppliers who are accredited and approved by the government agencies for how they handle the tissues, how they test it, how they document it. Their clean rooms, all that. So it's done right. What we can't do here is make marketing claims. Because those are regulated, and that's what approval means when you have FDA approval, or whatever the Canadian version is. It's a marketing claim. So we can't make any marketing claims. So we can't advertise on Google or Facebook. So what you see advertisements are companies out of Mexico and Central America and other places, because they can advertise whatever they want to say.
That's so weird. I was going to ask you if because I've heard about people having to go to Mexico. I mean, I think even Rogan mentioned. I don't know if that's the same process or procedure, but are you doing a similar thing now that in Vegas, but some people still go to Mexico? Or
Rogan, he has a show. It's almost as good as your show, right? That guy.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
So he does send people down to Tijuana. I don't know why he does that. I think he has a relationship with them, but you absolutely do not have to leave the States. You probably have to leave Canada, but you don't have to leave the States. You can come to the States. We can do this. We just can't make any marketing claims. So a lot of people don't understand that. It's a big myth. When they hear, oh, it's not FDA approved, that means it's illegal. No, FDA approval means you can't make any marketing claims. So we don't make any claims. We're super clear. The phrase FDA approved is quite vague. And by the way, they haven't unapproved or disapproved stem cells or biologics or peptides or other things we do. They simply have not fully evaluated it. And of course, Big Pharma doesn't want that to happen. And of course, there's a lot of influence at the government and Big Pharma and other levels to keep that the way it is.
Does that, how does that work with, like say like someone comes in, they want to talk to you. If you can you explain the benefits of how much can you, like on the podcast, how much can you get away with on the podcast? There's like a divide between what's an advertisement. Is that like an actual advertisement, like a commercial?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I got nothing to hide here. It's transparent, right? We tell people that regenerative biologics, stem cell signaling factors, growth factors, PRP, all these things, they can help your cells heal. And we have the ability to heal ourselves. As we get older, we don't do it as well. So the strategy here is to use these, very young biologics to get a little reminder of how it is to heal at a younger level, how to activate our healing system in a youthful clip. So we can talk about that help. We can talk about the cellular benefits. We can show examples, anecdotes. Here's a patient we treated this. Here's the result they got. We can't guarantee anyone else gets that result. It's like an investment, right? Past performance does not guarantee future results. We can show medical journal articles, evidence. That's medical evidence. We can do that all day long. That's the same evidence we would hope that the FDA will look at when they do take up these matters. But that's a heavily influenced system. So you might ask the question, why haven't they? Why haven't they looked at this? Because there are people that don't want them to.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious at this point. Well, except that, I was going to ask, do you think that Maha and Kennedy are changing these things? I mean, they did flip upside down the food pyramid, and the kids' vaccine schedule seems to be less pressure on the schedule. I mean, things are happening there. Not as fast enough for most people in our community, but it's fast enough for Darren and I, because we're quite shocked that actually anything is happening. So we're kind of just happy with what results. I don't want to speak for Darren, but I'm just happy with what's happened so far, because I think that's a lot that's happened in a year. And I feel like they're moving towards helping these alternative things.
Yeah. I concur with you. I am glad to see action in the right direction. What we have, though, I have a lot of colleagues in the space who are happy that there's hope for, us. One way we protect patients under the Hippocratic Oath is make things available to them that can help them, right? So we hate when those are suppressed. We hate when good information is suppressed. But what we're seeing is that at the high level, you've got, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his group, and they're making these changes. But the low-level FDA bureaucrats are still behaving like the old administration. My colleagues are still getting warning letters about marketing claims and stuff like that. So until that's fixed, from the top down, not just the top, we're still going to have challenges.
Yeah, right.
Is there any evidence of ancient cultures doing this? You doing anything with the umbilical cord or placenta or anything like that? Is it like a natural thing where they're eating it or digesting it or doing things like that?
Yeah, I mean, the placenta has been a medicinal thing in the Amazon area. They'll take a placenta, they'll dry it out, they'll powder it, and they'll use it as a healing salve. We see that in other cultures too around the world, where people will eat the placenta. You can buy placental caps. I don't think they're human, but like capsules of bovine, cow placenta, which have healing properties because they probably have growth factors that re-stimulate some of the more useful healing that do cross over to human. So, we see health benefits from things like colostrum and bone marrow and bone broth. Those things go back, to ancient times that have healing properties. We probably didn't know why, but now we do.
Yeah. I was wondering how they figured that out. Eating your first placenta, I mean, bone broth is different because you're kind of making a soup or something out of the bones. You're kind of boiling all the meat off the bones, but
right. So,
it is just interesting because when you talk about using younger, I mean, it just with the whole, it kind of makes you think of where some of this, and I'm not saying that anyone doing stem cells is doing this, but it just kind of slides into this sort of this old myth of like vampirism and young blood, and stuff like that. It's like right into that, and it seems like this adrenochrome stuff that people talk about is almost like the next level of stem cells.
Yes, and that's probably what these people and vampires are doing and getting is the healing benefits of young blood. Same with the healing benefits of young organs like adrenochrome, right? So we see this now in the peptide area. We have what are called bioregulators, or the small peptides that are identified from animal organs, different glands that have these youthful, healthy signaling factors that we as inflamed humans exposed to the modern world, aren't as good about at the cellular level. So we need that help. So that's why we're seeing benefits in the peptide realm.
What is the main application for this? I think when Rogan did it, it was his knee. We've got a friend, Jen, that comes on a lot of our trips that just got, I think she said she got it in her hip, if I remember correctly. And she was raving about it and saying it was making a big difference. I know our friend Randall Carlson is really thinking about looking into it for a few different reasons. So what are the main sort of applications? All the applications I've heard about have been sort of mechanical. Does it go mechanical?
That's fair. I think that joints and spine are the low-hanging fruit because they're an early inflammatory issue that we deal with because of overuse or injuries or what have you. So we see early and effective benefits, and we tend to, generally speaking, with applying these types of biologics, stem cells, stem cell signaling factors, stem cell vesicles called exosomes, peptides. All these things have shown pretty good benefit in use in joints and spine. The second application would be for anything else that's systemic inflammation. And we say inflammation like we all know what it means, but it really is a cellular degradation, a cellular rusting, if you will, a biological rusting of our body, oxidative stress. And this type of thing ages us and begets inflammatory diseases, most diseases have some inflammatory component. So we use these intravenous to help all of our cells get a little reset, a little factory reset into a more anti-inflammatory mode where cells can work more optimally. If you think about cells, they have two major modes, guys. They have defense time, they're fighting inflammation from the world, whether it's something in our diet, some toxins, some pesticides, some electromagnetic waves, whatever we're exposed to and shouldn't be having. And then they have that youthful, optimal, uninflamed, mode. So we want to induce the cells back into the uninflamed mode for as long as we can and as good as we can, and that's what these biologics do. These youthful biologics help turn off the defense factory, stop making ammunition, and make peacetime appliances or something,
That's kind of what I was going to ask you. Is that something like, let's say I came down to get some sort of treatment there because I don't have it. Let's say I don't have any major injuries or any major as Darren says, mechanical problems. Like, is that what I would do? Is just get some kind of like intravenous system inflammation?
Probably. We would look at you top to bottom. We would would set the foundation. We would look at your diet and your sleep and your exercise regimen and your body composition. We would try to tweak everything, because if we're going to do something, I want you to get the most out of it. So we would do a whole battery of discussions. We would do some lab tests, look at inflammatory markers, look at your lifestyle, and we could do a lot without stem cells. We can stimulate our own stem cell activity by good exercise, hot sauna exposure, cold plunges, which you guys are probably used to way up there.
What would it cost for Graham to come do something like that? And how does that compare to, say, if he was using it more as a preventative, maybe, or sort of compared to if you come down with a blown out knee or torn ACL or something?
Yeah, so the typical cost, and we do a lot of the stem cell signaling, the exosomes. We don't do as many cells these days. Cells actually aren't doing the work; they're delivering the message. So we can skip ahead to the message. It travels better through the body, and it's more affordable. So an IV might run you a few thousand American dollars, depending on the dose. If we were to do a few doses in the knee in different spots, we do that at a local surgery center under sterile conditions, little sedation. That costs a little more. You might be looking at $8,500 to up to maybe 10 or 12,000, depending on how many doses in the knee. Anywhere from like 2 to 5 doses are common.
So do you guys have a lot of the lab stuff in house? Do you test when you said you do like a markup on me, like blood work and all that?
No, we would actually start remotely. So we would spend some time on a video. Most of my patients aren't here in Las Vegas. They come from wherever, but we'll have 4 or 5 visits by video. And we will get all the records. If they need lab tests, we have ways of helping them get lab tests. Even Canadians, there are these third parties that we can get sort of negotiated low rates on lab tests. If you need an MRI, I have some patients in Vancouver area, and they struggle to get an MRI, but we can get them one in Seattle for a small fraction of the cost. So it's cheaper for them to take a day trip to Seattle. We've actually had patients fly down to Vegas. It was cheaper for them to get on WestJet. This is not an advertisement for WestJet. They got issues, but to get on WestJet, fly down here, get an MRI, and maybe visit with me, go over the MRI, and then go home.
And they saved a year.
What's that?
And they saved a year.
They saved at least a year, perhaps, and might as well come down, make a weekend of it, enjoy a show down here in Las Vegas, see a hockey game or whatever, and plan it right. So we can get MRIs for less than $300 American.
Wow. So, yeah, and that's the thing, is it's the capacity that kills us up here. Like when you have to wait 12 months or 10 months for something, by then your injury's either way worse or it's healed. I mean, I had to go. I remember once waiting months to go for an elbow. Was it an elbow injury? It was an arm injury or some sort. And by the time I got there, it was like, well, I don't even really need this now because I've already dealt with it.
They're counting on that, right? They're counting on attrition of the need. Some just give up and go to America, pay for it. Some get better, and only those truly still bothered will show up when it's time.
I think we can skip the line in Alberta. Just on MRIs is one of the things that we can get privately.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's like $500 Canadian. So probably about the same price.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
About pretty good, actually. Yeah. Now, I should tell you guys this, and maybe your listeners will benefit from it. Not all MRIs are the same. So MRIs like buying a new LED screen TV panel for your house. Because if you went to get one now, you'd want the 4K Ultra HD high resolution, screen. There are MRIs out there that look like an old static TV, the old fashioned tube TV. So you really have to order a 3 Tesla, which is the magnetic field strength. And there are some bells and whistles you can add on at no additional charge, but you got to know the kids say, if you know, it's one of those things. So you gotta know how to get it. So make sure if you're going to get an MRI that you talk to someone that can really tweak the imaging. MRI has amazing ability if you know how to get that out of the machine.
That's fascinating.
Interesting. So those are probably getting better every year then. So probably a lot of the ones in Canada and these old hospitals are probably those fuzzy ones you were talking about, I'm assuming.
Well, we have very good doctors who will just write MRI, or their dummy down, electronic health record system just has a checkbox that says MRI. So they could go to a high quality machine and still get a very limited evaluation. So you have to really have someone that knows how to order these things. And I get pushback all the time from MRI centers when I try to order something, and they'll say, well, that's not standard. Not sure, the tech doesn't know what to do. Then you finally get the radiologist on the phone and it says, oh, absolutely, of course we can do that. And it's just, so we have hassles here too, but the cost of an MRI is the same in America if you go to a high resolution center or a low resolution center. They haven't figured out how to segregate that.
Is that mostly, I guess most MRIs would be just covered by your standard health insurance down there, or is that something people have to pay out of pocket for?
It's a funny thing you say that, because we really are trying not to deal with those systems. Typically they'll cover it, but it requires a lot of hassle, right? We call this rationing by hassle. I read that in Wired magazine like 15 years ago. And what they do is, well, you didn't say the right diagnostic code, or you didn't say the key words that have to go with the AI, the computer system won't approve it unless you use those words. Oh, you need to talk to our nurse consultant. They bog down your office. You have to hire additional people just to fight that. So I tell patients when they come in, I have a lean office. We just want to take care of patients. If you have insurance that you purchased, that you selected, or your employer did, you go deal with them. So you need this. Do you agree? Yes. Okay. You go fight it.
What did you call that? Rationing by
hassle. Rationing by hassle.
Yeah.
Is what happens. Yeah. I'm sure you have some of it too.
Oh, I feel like all the big tech companies are doing it now too. It's like such a hassle to get a hold of anybody. You just give up.
100%. We deal with that too. In fact, I just had a kerfluffle with ChatGPT. I was working on a very big peptide project, big guide I'm writing, and I was using it to do graphics and things. And I had trained this chat over, hours and hours and hours. I put a lot of effort into it, and the chat crashed. So I'm trying to deal with their support system, and you got to go through another AI bot to deal with that. And I'm on the 3rd level bot. I please have a human look at this. They've got to be able to find this information. I've highly invested in this, and we're struggling. So I would say everyone, have some kind of keystroke logger so you can recover everything you've used to program that chat, because you can always copy and paste it into a new chat if you've lost it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a good advice. Some redundancy, build some redundancy in there.
Yeah. So that's not medical advice, but man, I'm really peeved by that. So I wanted to share that.
How did you get here? How did you end up in stem cells?
So I'm a neurosurgeon, spine surgeon recovering. And I was finding myself progressively frustrated with the lack of advancement. While patients were coming in and asking me, hey, doc, I don't want surgery. What about stem cells? And I have some undergraduate background in molecular biology, which is the field sort of underscoring stem cells. And I finally, after going to these annual meetings for neurosurgeons where these bow tie wearing knuckleheads keep reporting the same things for 30, 40 years without changing. Because honestly, the surgeries have not changed since the 1940s. Yes, there's a new incision style, smaller incision microscope, a new widget, but it's the same surgery. So I got frustrated, and I felt like I didn't fit in as much because I'm a little more open-minded and want to move forward and advance. So I started going to stem cell conferences, and a lot had happened since my undergraduate years. And Most of this comes out of Europe and Asia, where they've been able to do more. So there's great medical evidence. There are clinicals. There's long-term follow-up. There's safety and efficacy things to draw from. So I said, I'm going to start offering this as a new tool for my spine patients, but it's blossomed into so much more. So I treat joints. I treat, inflammatory issues, autoimmune problems, long COVID, brain injury, recovery from heart attack and stroke, Parkinson's, MS. We have some specific types of regenerative biologics we're offering to cancer patients. And a lot of this opens up a whole approach to biohacking, longevity medicine, and it's all I do now. And that's why I say I'm recovering as a neurosurgeon. So I put down the Kool-Aid, and there's a lot going on, and a lot of people have an appetite for this. I think you guys do. That's why we're talking today.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I remember the peptide patches coming out in about 2019, maybe 2020. I tried those for a bit, and I was excited about biohacking for a while, and it's very exciting because, well, my partner's chronically ill. She has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so we're always trying to help, and there's nothing up here that we can really do. I mean, the only relief we get is through naturopathy and trying to kind of like just calm down her symptoms. But I guess so that kind of leads me to, I guess I have to ask the question because it's what I'm dealing with personally. But is there any hope for genetic disorders like that, like connective tissue disorders and stuff? Or
it's a two-part answer. Part one is a lot of these have an inflammatory component.
Yeah.
So Ehlers-Danlos has that. So the regenerative biologics can help the inflammatory aspect. For genetic, there's some really good promise in gene therapy, which I'm following, but I'm not currently adopting as part of my practice. This is very big. I actually know colleagues who treat people for problems like that, genetically treat them. They actually don't do it in America because they are concerned with regulations. So I think they get on a boat and they go out in international waters and do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that sounds wild. So when you say genetic therapy, is that like mRNA?
No, I think we're talking about CRISPR technology, where you actually snip out the bad gene and you snip in the one it should have had in the first place.
We got a question in the chat from one of our regulars, Rob. He's here just about every show. He asks about MS.
Yeah, MS is an inflammatory autoimmune problem of the nervous system, typically the brain, but can involve the spinal cord, so central nervous system. And we have seen situations where we can suppress the inflammation, so it suppresses the damage. And we have seen reduced flare-ups without some of these pharmaceuticals, because the pharmaceuticals can sometimes suppress the immune system and cause other issues too, and can backfire. You suppress the immune system, and then you can actually have more flare-ups. So flare-ups are bad because you get an area of damage to the nervous system every time you have a flare-up. So we've got some benefits there. This is based on medical evidence. You can research this. You go to any good browser and search MS stem cells or MS exosomes, and you'll find the research out there, and it's got some improvement. So we have patients with that. Interesting thing about neurologic delivery of regenerative biologics, it's one of the best ways to do it is through nasal spray. So you don't even have to have an IV. We aren't really injecting into the nervous system. We aren't injecting into the brain. We aren't injecting into the spinal sac like a spinal tap so much anymore. We're doing nasal spray and getting some great results. Yeah.
So it's exosomes directly there.
Yeah.
And they find where they need to go. And
well, they're so small, they get up through the back of the sinuses into the ganglia in the back of there and up through the cribriform plate, which is where the little fibers for smell go up into the brain. So the brain gets great uptake in that mechanism. And the exosomes are, nano-sized. So they're much smaller than cells. Cells have trouble getting up there. Although I just read a paper on Muse stem cells that can travel through nasal spray. And that's sort of some coming technology of even more powerful stem cells called Muse, if you haven't heard of those yet. We're seeing all kinds of great recovery from traumatic brain injury. We have some athletes that have concussions. We have some Parkinson's patients who have improvements, and they're able to get off some of their pharmaceuticals because, again, the pharmaceuticals can cause long-term issues, side effects, what have you.
And are you going to get some beneficial side effects from this? Like if you're treating something like Parkinson's or MS with this nasal spray, are you going to get some longevity results in there too, or?
Hypothetically, yes. It's not been measured. We would take decades to have to measure something like that, but theoretically, yes, you would. But suppressing MS alone builds longevity for that patient.
Yeah, for sure. Couldn't they have found a better name than Muse for stem cells? Is it Muse as in MUSE like?
Yeah, it actually stands for multilineage undifferentiated stress enduring stem cells. So it meant something, but which shouldn't be confused with the company Muse Bio, which is the company that extracts stem cells from menstrual blood.
Oh wow.
Can you share some of the sort of the highlight stories of people that have come in and sort of the changes that are capable with this sort of thing? Because we got some people listening that are on the verge of giving up, and when they do hear stuff, they just always assume it's and I mean the other thing is you mentioned $8,500. That sounds expensive now, but I mean, we're wasting so much money in the West that you can see a future where this sort of thing just comes with your checkup, right? There's so much money just getting burned and thrown out the door and stolen.
You could start a GoFundMe. You could go to Minneapolis and open a daycare. I mean, there are many ways to earn a little money and do this. But some stories. So I have a sweet elder woman. She's over 80 who has aches and pains throughout her body from osteoarthritis. She comes in to do an IV once every other year, and she has a significant benefit to her pain, her function. She's able to do her craft. She does hand painted river rocks and gives them out for paperweights, things like that. So she's a great story. We have numerous I have hundreds of patients who have come here trying to avoid a joint replacement and have successfully done so, just in accordance with the European literature on this. We have before and after MRIs in some of those patients where we've actually shown restoration of some of the cartilage thickness in the joint. So, if 95% of orthopedic surgeons in the US will tell you can't regrow your cartilage. And then I show them these befores and afters, and they just can't believe it. Of course, they're upset because we're going to put their joint replacement business, out of business. So we have patients with autoimmune issues, can't work, can't function, and we do IVs, and we show significant benefit lasting months at a time. We have people that have cognitive and energy boosts from the IVs that can last 3, 6, or more months at a time. I have patients with various types of cancer where we've injected natural killer cell exosomes to enhance their immune attack on cancers. We've seen the cancers shrink. Now, these have to be accessible to the injection, so usually more superficial tumors. And these are people who we've either already had chemotherapy and radiation or just won't have it. They understand that there's a downside to that too. So we've got all the peptides. We should mention the peptides too, because therapeutic peptides, small linked amino acids that are typically naturally occurring, found in the body, have amazing therapeutic benefits. And whether it's a Wolverine protocol to help heal, like the professional athletes use, that has a couple peptides. One's called BPC-157 for body protection compound, which is found in stomach, gastric juice, and TB500, which is, from the thymus gland, is really great for energy, restoring, injuries, recovering. My wife and I use it strategically. If we take the kids to Disneyland the grandkids too, and we've got 3 days in a row of 25,000 steps. We're taking that every night, so we can go hard the next day, and we'll outpace our kids. So we should not miss out on what's a blossoming area. Is this peptide therapeutics?
It's funny. I was going to ask you about, because I was thinking, I mean, what about first stuff? I mean, I'm not asking for scientific evidence on this, but just your thoughts or your gut feeling on, depression and anxiety and stuff. But then you mentioned cognitive and energy. I mean, it might have a beneficial effect for people, that are just having a hard time as well. Like I'm just thinking, like, eventually this kind of needs to be part of, like what Darren was saying, part of the checkup type thing, part of the, your regular thing.
He's right. Yeah. No, we're seeing, benefits. There are some wonderful peptides restoring mitochondrial function and neurotransmitter balance for people with mood disorders, depression, anxiety, things like that. Wow. We also see some benefit in suppressing neurological inflammation, and that comes from the exosomes, the nasal sprays we're doing, things like that. So there are ways to naturally, biologically tweak that system without the downside of the pharmaceuticals, which can be very dulling and have all kinds of side effects.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So what do you see for the future of this industry then?
We see more. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
We see more tissue-specific biologics. So, in fact, I just ordered my first batch of skin, scalp, follicle exosomes. So they'll have a cargo of biomolecules, of mRNAs, microRNAs, and growth factors and peptides that are more specific for growing hair. So we'll inject the scalp with these and have some hair restoration for thinning hair, better than we will with the generic stem cell exosomes, which we use now. So we'll have those for neurologic sense. So even a better neurologic response, hopefully, from the neurologic specific exosomes. So that's, I think, where we're headed in the next couple of years, starting now, is these tissue specific, cargo specific, things like that. This is growing. The goal here is to put surgeries and pharmaceuticals as a last option and use more natural biological approaches first when there is a reasonable medical and scientific basis, right? Some good research somewhere.
Do you have any future where these could be like vitamins almost, where you get your jar monthly and it's got some peptides and some stem cells in there, and it's just sort of a thing you take every day? Look at that.
So this you couldn't have set me up any better. This is a plant-derived exosome. Plants make exosomes, and it's got phytonutrients. So we selected the organic fruits in Italy in the blue zone that are known for generations for their anti-aging, the long life, long healthy life. So this is like citrus fruits, mango, papaya, things like that. And we have a lab in Italy that can extract the exosomes. So plants deliver those phytonutrients, the quercetin, the fisetin, the glutathione, all the B vitamins except B12, vitamin C and others. They package them in exosomes, which is kind of a liposome. If you've heard of liposomal vitamins, they have a better cellular delivery. So nature figured this out in an exosome. And they survive digestion and get into our bloodstream at 700 to 4,500 times the delivery of a regular supplement. So, why haven't we done this for years? Yeah. It's because it was very difficult to extract the exosomes. We finally have technology at scale. So we call this is our first product. We call it Longevex for longevity exosomes. And the early research shows reduced reactive oxygen species, meaning less cellular stress, and increased sirtuin-1 gene activity. If you know, sirtuin-1 gene is an anti-aging gene in the mitochondria. It makes the cells live longer. It's a gene they study when they have those worms living 2 and 3 times as long as their lifespan. It's a sirtuin family. So sirtuin-1. So we know this product is a cellular longevity facing a molecule. So that has been one of our big projects in the last 12 months. But to Darren's point, I'm leaving tomorrow actually to go to a health tech. I'm speaking at a health tech event in San Francisco, and my talk is a wish list, to software, hardware developers. And one of the items is a kitchen appliance that will, measure your Apple Watch, your wearables, your health tech, and decide what peptides you need for the day.
Wow.
And it'll construct your blend, and it will give you a little cocktail for injection. So,
and you can do all that non-invasive. You can do all that non-invasively, just with the watch.
If you want the peptides to do their thing, the best delivery is still a subcutaneous injection. You can get some liposomal oral delivery. They've got some dissolving patches you can do in the mouth. Many of the oral ones aren't great for biodelivery, except maybe BPC 157 when it's just for the gut. There are some topicals. The copper peptide called GHKCU is very good for hair and skin topically. It's also good from the inside out, so we like to inject it also. Injection just gets the job done much better.
Rob was asking about all that, saving telomere from degradation. Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, so there are specific peptides such as epitalon that comes from pineal glands that stimulates telomere preservation. There are some other peptides. I think it's FOXO4-DRI and a few others that are also really great longevity peptides that work at the telomere. But just fixing your telomere length isn't enough, right? We have to have the entire cell working, the whole machinery. Telomere length is just one measure. There are